I was speaking to a group about audience building. It's a group that I might do some additional work with, and it was a fascinating discussion because everyone is in the business of building an audience. Sometimes we don't call it an audience. Sometimes we think of it as customers or clients or members or patrons or what have you. But thinking about it as an audience can be very valuable. And because there's so much content today, social media and activities like that, we are a little bit more aware of the idea of an audience. And when you look at someone's social media account, you get an indication of their audience. And I say indication because it is really just an indication. Nevertheless, it does give you some reference. It puts into perspective the relative size of someone's audience. In fact, when book publishers look at potential authors these days, they want to see your social media accounts and see how active you are. So it occurred to me that this would be a very good topic to explore with you. I was on a call not long ago. We were talking about luxury, and I made the point that what you're doing, even more than selling a product, a service, an experience, is you're building an audience. So I want to share with you my thoughts on audience building and what you should be thinking about in those terms. Before I get started, I want to remind you that if you're not a subscriber to my channel, this is a good time to subscribe, because there's a lot of information here on all sorts of topics. And if you're building a high-end business, if you work at a high-end business, if you are building your personal brand, this is the place to be. So make sure you are subscribed. But the first thing I want you to understand when it comes to audience building is that what you are looking for are people who think and behave a certain way. We don't often think about that when we're building a business, but in essence, that's what you are building when you're building a business. You're building groups of people that think and behave in a certain way. Even though they might buy a product, you will find that someone that buys a particular shoe, just because they buy shoes doesn't mean they'll buy another brand. So they think and they behave in a certain way. And this is an important concept for you to understand. If you think about a musician, for example, who performs around the world, maybe even locally, what are they looking for? Well, they're looking for someone that likes their music, right? That's at kind of the first level. Then they're looking for someone that not only will like their music, but will buy it. Then they're looking for someone who will not only buy it, but might come out to an event to hear it. On another level is a person who will come to an event and maybe bring someone to that event. Then there's a person who will bring someone to the event, buy it, enjoy it, and go to multiple events. And then you have these super fans who will listen to a person's music all the time. They will see the person in concert multiple times. They will buy multiple copies. They will give it away. So you see, there's a whole spectrum of the way a person thinks and behaves relative to a product. So think of that in terms of your product, because you can have someone that likes it but doesn't buy it, Or you could have someone that buys it but will never buy it again. Or you could have someone who buys everything you release. And so when you're cultivating an audience, what you're doing is understanding the behavior of your audience. And when you understand the behavior of your audience, you can go out and get more. You can look at a client and not be affected because the person doesn't go further with you. Because you understand behavior, you know that person might just fit into the category of liking and buying one time. And so this idea of understanding behavior is very important. And I want to say to you that when you are building audiences and looking for behavior, you want to start with the people you know. You want to start where you are, because you want to, in building your audience, start in a place that's not complicated. I see a lot of people, they'll start something and they try to go international right away, or they try to go national right away, or they try to work in another state. They even try to go online sometimes too quickly, because you can better understand your audience by beginning to talk to the people around you, because you're trying to understand behavior. And so you go online and you do various things with the right details, the right descriptions, the right offers, the right opportunities. Because there can be nuances in the way you describe what you do, the way you market what you do, the way you follow up with what you do, and so forth. So number one is you're looking for behavior. Now, number two, so important, is being intentional about audience building. When I first started building my audience, I was very intentional, because once you understand behavior, okay, this is a person that enjoys professional development or personal development. This is a person who will buy professional development, very big difference. This is a person who will come out to an event. This is a person who will bring someone. This is a person who will buy multiple times. So once you begin to understand the behavior, you can be intentional. And so many salespeople and entrepreneurs, they're waiting for the event. They're waiting for some big event. Okay, when we go online with this, something will happen. When we sell this, when I get it all together, then we'll be able to do it. And that is the wrong approach. The right approach is to find a client right away. And you find a client by starting where you are and by looking for thinking and behavior. I'll never forget being in New York once, walking into the department store at Bloomingdales. And I had some time before a meeting, and I was kind of walking around looking at various things. I hadn't been in there in a while, and there were new displays and new products and new things being offered. And I browsed through the men's department. I think it was the shoe department. And I was looking at something, and I felt a little tap on my arm. And it was one of the salespeople saying to me, "Sir, you look like someone who really likes a beautiful shoe. I want to give you my card. I don't know if you have time today to look at this, but I would invite you to give me a call, and I will show you what we have to offer." And then he did, "By the way, you look like you wear," and he mentioned the size. And I said, "Yeah, you're right." He says, "Yeah, I thought so. I've got something new in that you might want to take a look at. Do you have a moment to look at it now?" It's very good. And so he started right where he was, with a person coming through. And I looked at the shoes, and we had a conversation. And then he said, "By the way, anyone you work with, anyone you're close with, you think might be interested in this level of shoe, I'd be happy to help them. I'm going to give you a couple of extra cards if you want to share them with someone." Great example. Starting where you are, looking at thinking and behavior. He was looking at me because I was looking at shoes. He was looking at me because I had a nice pair of shoes on. And he was sizing me up. And so when you are thinking about how to build your client base, don't wait for the big product. Don't wait for the big moment, the big event, the big splash, the big launch. Start right where you are. Connect with that person, whether it's in business, whether it's at church, whether it's at an event, whether it's at a cocktail party, a garden party, a birthday party, a wedding, whatever it is. Be intentional about building your audience. Look for people who think and behave a certain way. And invite them to work with you. Add them to your mailing list. Start building your audience that way. And you'll be surprised. You will run into many people who are a great fit that you are ignoring because you're waiting for the website or the this or the that or the other. Now, number 3 is I want you to remember this phrase. It's a mix. And by that, I'm talking about the way you get clients, the way you build clients, the way you build an audience. The word attraction is very popular these days. Everyone's talking about attracting clients and how to get them to chase you so you're not chasing them. And this is the direct response model. And that is wonderful, and it's one that I teach. And in fact, it is perhaps the dominant approach that I recommend when it comes to building clients. But yes, when you attract someone, they identify themselves on the basis of what you present to them. Yes, it is easier to have someone approach you than to approach them. That does not mean that attraction is the only way you should do business. Attraction is perhaps the dominant way you should, but you should be also be prepared to approach. So it is a mix of attraction and approach. And you will be far more successful in business if you're doing both. If you have someone on the phone, if you have someone going to events, if you have someone dropping letters in the mail, if you have someone suggesting and connecting, because not everyone is going to see your ad. Not everyone is going to see your display or your direct mail piece. You won't always be able to reach everyone, but you will come in contact with people who think and behave certain ways. Or you will see them on television. You'll see them in the newspaper. You'll see them in the community. You'll see them at the event. You'll see, wow, this is a person who is a good fit for me. And so be prepared to approach. In fact, sometimes approaching is the only option you have. When I started my business, I had to approach. I had to get on the phone and call people. I had to go places and show up. I had to go out and find a client. I had to go out and grab someone and say, I think you would be a great client. So do not be reluctant to approach, thinking that, well, if they want it, they'll approach me and all of that. Those are, that's thinking because someone doesn't want to do the effort and put in the effort. Your business should have a mix of both. You will grow, you will expand. In fact, you will get different, there'll be different impact and rewards, and you'll have to study that. But often when you approach and you target and you're systematic about that, you will get bigger clients, because it might be a little bit more effort, but what you will find is that the human factor will make a big difference in terms of being able to connect with your audience. So, okay, what are we up to? Probably number 4. Number four. And number four is, I want you to remember that you have to culture, nurture, and reward your prospects and clients. No one is going to, well, some people will buy right away. But often the person is not ready. And they need familiarity, they need understanding, they need timing, and they need reason in order to become your client. So often I'll say to someone, did you approach this person? Did you follow up with this person? They'll say, well, this person didn't respond. I sent them this, they didn't respond. Well, welcome to the club. It is presenting, it is connection, it is reinforcement, it is repetition. These are the things that will make someone respond to you. So remember that there is a process you have to go through. And it's cultivating, it's nurturing, it's rewarding, and even showing them evidence, something that is sometimes called social proof. So important to building an audience. And frankly, many people will become part of your audience once they realize that your audience is growing and that there are other people who pay attention to you and listen to you. I was once presenting something, and someone said, wow, I'm not familiar with your work. It seems like a lot of other people know. And someone kind of chimed in at this event. Oh yeah, I saw him first at this event, and he was really great. I've been thinking about some of the things he's been saying ever since. I was pleasantly surprised to hear this person endorse my work and give me that testimonial. And it was a surprise to me that this person was part of my audience, because you try to know everyone who's in your audience, but sometimes you don't have name and address and email for every single person. So that was a pleasant surprise. So this process of presenting and cultivating and nurturing and rewarding will be important. Now, I didn't talk about what rewarding is, but rewarding is giving your audience content, giving your audience insight and tips, giving your audience things that they are looking for, answers to their questions. Part of my process in sharing so much with you is that I know that by rewarding you with these insights, things that frankly you would have to pay for, you're consulting with someone that can answer a question for you. You might be sitting there middle of the day and you say, look, I've got a question about how do I build an audience, and you look up and you find this video. Or you might be binging my videos and say, wow, this is something that really answers a question for me. That reward will endear you to me, and if you do that, it will endear others to you. So keep in mind that in the process, reward them, because that will bring them in your fold, and that will make them more willing to go up that scale of not just liking what you do, but buying what you do and doing that repeatedly. The great musicians and artists, they reward their fans by releasing things first to them and making their fans aware of some things. Now, I've got one more thing that I want you to do in terms of building your audience, and that is the fifth thing, which is getting specific about how you can help them. Getting specific. We tend to think in too broad a terms sometimes. And I was out with someone, and we were talking with a potential client of his, and the person said, well, how can you help me? And the answer he gave was great, but it wasn't specific enough. And I think that being specific is what makes you go to the grocery store, go to the department store, buy the concert tickets. It's the specificity that this particular thing is available at this time, And so think specifically, how can you help your audience? And by specific, I simply mean an offer with an item. We have these shoes available in these sizes, in this design, in these colors. We have this dress available today or this week. That's a specific offer. And your business should have those ongoing. Give your audience specific opportunities to buy. Imagine a musician who is building a fan base but never releases any music, never appears anywhere, never provides an opportunity for you to take advantage of them. This is what many entrepreneurs do because they think just the content, just the presence will be enough. And so remember that you have to have a specific offer. Now, do you remember what the 5 ways to build your audience are? Let's go through them again. Number 1 is you're looking for specific thinking and behavior. Look for thinking and behavior. Number 2, get intentional about that. Add people to your audience based on their thinking and behavior. Look for people that have thinking and behavior. Add them one by one. When you meet people, add another one, add another one. Number 3 is remember it's a mix. Develop a process in your business whereby you have a mix of audience development. It includes attraction and it includes approach. Number 4 is cultivate, nurture, and reward. Very important in the process. And number 5 is be specific about how you're going to help them. They will not know what you have to offer, and they will not take advantage of your offer if you don't present it. You have to give them very specific opportunities. Now, take a look at this video as an opportunity to build your business.